In the previous section, we used PhoneGap plugins in Cordova 3 and legacy PhoneGap plugins in Cordova 2 projects. PhoneGap-based mobile apps are a combination of web apps and their proper usage of PhoneGap plugins. In most of the projects, a PhoneGap app is not enough to solve all of the problems due to the limitation of web technology and PhoneGap itself. In this section, we will talk about server-side technologies, which make your app more powerful. The first question is, why do we need a server, or how can a server-side technology help us with our projects? Obviously, with a server, it's possible to process and store data produced on our client. For example, a social app will need to store its user profiles. Secondly, a server could help with integration with external services. It's especially useful when external services are not web technology based. Furthermore, if you are an enterprise player, a server is necessary to isolate your servers from public access. It's recommended to write your server-side project with Node.js. We have used Node.js in the previous sections, like the Cordova command line tool is Node.js based. It is fast and reliable, and there are loads of libraries in the npm repository. The most important thing is that we just need to know JavaScript. No other languages are needed. If you prefer to use other technologies like Apache and PHP or IIS, there is no problem with this. We will use MongoDB as our database, since it's easily integrated with Node.js and it uses JSON as its data structure, which JavaScript developers are familiar with. Also, if you prefer using any other database, this isn't a problem at all. If you choose Node.js and MongoDB, the Feed Henry platform may be a good choice for you. It delivers end-to-end mobile cloud solutions. It brings in extra security and reliability to your project, and you could scale your box according to your requirements. The Feed Henry platform is fully compatible with any of the PhoneGap apps or native apps. It's powerful and easy to use. Since our PhoneGap app is web-based by default, we could connect to the server using a web request or a WebSocket. With the help of PhoneGap plugins, we will be able to connect to our server through other TCP or UDP-based protocols. Due to the limitation of web technology and PhoneGap, a server-side technology is needed in most situations. Here I have quickly introduced some of these technologies, and in the next video I will start with a demo project. In the previous video, we saw why we need a server-side technology for our PhoneGap apps, and what technologies are recommended. In this video, I will give you a demo of how to write a mobile app with the server-side technology. Before the demo, you will need to have installed Node.js and MongoDB correctly. The app will simply allow the users to register, log in, and view a list of registered users. Let's initialize our project. First, we create a client folder and a cloud folder in our workspace. We create a Cordova project in the client folder using the Cordova command line tool. Remove the generated content in the www folder. The client is as simple as 3 pages, and we will use jQuery Mobile as the framework. First, we create an index.html file and essential HTML structures, and import the jQuery Mobile libraries. We add a page container for all the jQuery Mobile pages. Then we create an app folder in which we store our application. Create the app.js file and root.js file in the app folder. Open the app.js file. We will first initialize all modules. When the document is ready, we initialize the page container and load the first page from the router. The router has not yet been implemented, so we leave a to-do here. We open root.js and add some code. The code will mainly be using the jQuery Mobile API to navigate through pages. Open app.js. Now we can call root.firstPage when the document is ready. The first page is the login page. The jQuery Mobile will try to load the login.html file into our page container. We add some HTML code in the login.html file with 2 input boxes and 2 buttons. Add the JavaScript files so far to the index.html file using the script tags. Let's see how it looks in the browser. Now we add the second page file, register.html. The register page allows the user to register their account or go back to the previous page. The HTML code is straightforward. So far, we have 2 pages, but we don't have any business logic to connect them. We will implement some controllers. Create a controllers folder under the app folder with a login.js file in it. The login.js file will include all the business logic on the login page. Currently, it contains only the register function, which will be called when the user clicks on the register button on the login page. It will bring the user to the register page. In login.html, we add an on-click listener to the register button. The listener will call the login controller's register function. Link the scripts to index.html. Now, if we click on the register button, the app will be navigated to the register page. Similar to the login page controller, we can add the register controller for the register page. Similar to the login page controller, we can add a register controller for the register page. The controller will mainly register a new user account on the server. We leave the register implementation empty for now and just finish the on-click listener on the register button. Let's go back to our empty register implementation. It will first retrieve the username and password from the input boxes and then check if they're empty. Since it needs to call the server side, we display a loading icon. Next, it needs to call a model to register a user and render the response to the UI. Create a models folder under the app folder. Add a user.js file into the models folder. The user model will be responsible for user-related web requests, such as register, login, and retrieving the user lists. We could create a reusable web model to handle all of the web requests. The web model makes use of the jQuery post method to send a request to a URL along with its parameters. It will call back the data or error if the request fails. The base URL is the URL to the server. It can be changed to a real server URL. Go back to the user model. Remove the to-do and use web model to call the register method with the parameters to the server. Open the register page controller and call the user model's register method. The parameter here is the username and password from the input boxes. When the web request finishes, it will first hide the loading icon. Then it will check if there's any request errors or if there's any errors popped from the server side. If there is an error, it means that the registration failed and the user needs to read the error message and try again. Otherwise, the app will navigate the user to the login page. So far, we have developed a part of our client with model, view, and controllers. Now, the client needs a server to register the users. Create package.json in the cloud folder. It will contain the meta info such as the name, version, and dependencies of our server. Go to the command line and change the directory to our cloud folder. We need to run npm install to install the dependencies. Once the dependencies are installed, create an application.js file. We use express.js as a web framework. We add a post request handler for user registration. The handler will receive parameters passed from the client which posts to the URL. Similar to the client, we will use a user model to process the data. Create a libs folder. Since the user model will need to access the database, we create the DB model first, which will be responsible for the database access. The DB model creates a MongoDB client and connects to MongoDB with a connection string. Once the DB connection is initialized, the DB model will keep the connection for further usage. Now we create the user.js file. It will require db.js that we just created. Now create a register function. It will first get the DB client and request for a collection called user. With the collection object, it will insert the parameter passed directly to it. Go back to application.js. We can call user.register to register a user. The callback will check if any errors happen while registration is in progress. If there is no error, it will simply return OK as true. Now the client should be able to register a new account into MongoDB. Due to time constraints, we will skip the demo of the development of other functionalities which are very similar. You could check out related code. Let's take a look at the finished app. In this video, I simply demonstrated an app with both client and cloud technology and how they communicate with each other. The demo app will be used in the next video, where we will add more functionality such as camera usage. In the next video, I will introduce the Feed-Henry platform where you can deploy your server application. If you have other choices for your server app hosting, you can skip to next video. In the previous video, we developed a PhoneGap app with basic server-side functionality. We then created a platform to deploy to our server side. In this video, we will simply go through how to use the Feed-Henry platform to host our app. First, we need to create the Feed-Henry project. After logging into Feed-Henry, navigate to Projects, New Project, then Bare Project. Our project name is My Demo App. The project will now be created. Then we need to integrate our server side to the Feed-Henry platform. We add a cloud app to the project. Navigate to Import Existing App, Cloud App, My Demo App, Cloud, and import from a bare repo. Click on Start from Scratch. It will show some help text to create a Git repo and push to the Feed-Henry Cloud App code repository. We follow the instruction to import our Cloud App to the Feed-Henry project. We add a git ignore file to exclude the node modules folder, which is not needed. Now, the code is in the Feed-Henry platform, but is not running. We need to make 3 changes in the code for it to run. First, we need to add some Feed-Henry dependencies and add several lines of code into the application.js file. Second, our app should listen on the port which is allocated by the platform. Third, the app should use the database connection string provided by the platform. Once the code has been pushed to the cloud, we can run and deploy the app. Click on the Deploy tab on the left column and click on the Deploy Cloud App button. Once the deployment is complete, the app should be running. Now we need to change our client so that it points to the new server. For this, copy the current host URL on the details page. In the web model, replace the base URL with our cloud host URL. Let's now run the app in the simulator. It works as expected. In this video, I deployed the server app to the Feed-Henry platform. There are lots of features in the Feed-Henry platform, such as zero-code app generating, building mobile app binary, and statistics. You can find more information on these features at feedhenry.com. In the next video, we will complete the demo app with more functionality using the PhoneGap APIs.